All right, here's our boy Steph Curry, the GOAT at shooting threes, and he's doing what the GOAT of shooting threes does, and he's shooting a three, and I hate him for it. Dude freaking ruined the game, all these damn threes being shot. Back in my day in the 1920s, if you're going to shoot a three ball, make sure you take out your tampon before you shoot that thing, because that is not a man's shot. Get your ass down in the paint and learn some post moves. Get you a nice little post hook, because this is 1920s men's basketball. Last season, the NBA average was 38 three-point attempts per team. So across the whole NBA, on average, 38 three-point attempts being shot per team. Back in 2011, kind of when Steph Curry was coming into his own, or he got drafted 2009. It was like 11-12 when he really had that breakout season, and people started to realize, hey, this guy's probably the greatest shooter of all time. So from 2011, 18 three-point attempts per game NBA average. Last season, it was 38 three-point attempts per game. So in that 14-year span, the three-point shot has doubled and then gone up even two more shots, up to 38 attempts per game. So if you think it's an insane amount of threes being shot, I agree with you. I think there's probably too many threes being shot in today's NBA. It wouldn't so much be the amount. I feel like the amount could go down, but it's more how teams get to their threes. Teams will think, oh, we got to take 35 threes per game, or whatever their magic number is. If you're the Boston Celtics, your magic number might be 40 threes. I've seen games where the Celtics take over 50 threes per game. More than half of their shots will be from the three-point line. I've seen that multiple times from Boston, but it's not so much Steph Curry's fault. Steph Curry's still the golden boy of the NBA, in my opinion. Great role model, great family man, one of the most exciting players that we've ever seen. So I wouldn't blame Steph Curry so much for the state of today's NBA. It's a copycat league. People see Steph Curry shooting when they're growing up and they say, hey, I want to be like this guy, and they get outside and start working on their three ball. Just like people watch Michael Jordan back in the day and try to mold their game around Michael Jordan's game. Then you get players like Kobe Bryant. Same thing with Steph Curry. The game is just played really differently. 90s fans like to act like, oh, back in the 90s, they just weren't shooting threes because they chose not to. That's not true. The reason they weren't shooting threes like the players do today, again, I probably agree with you. There's probably too many threes being shot, and the shot selection isn't great. But they weren't shooting that many threes back in the 90s, 80s, 70s because they weren't capable of knocking down threes like the players today are. That's not to say that Michael Jordan, whatever other player you want to name from back then, wouldn't have been able to learn the three and be able to shoot a three at a high percentage. I'm sure they could have learned that, but it was just that, again, like I said, growing up, they weren't looking up to a Steph Curry or a Ray Allen. The game was played totally differently. So, again, they didn't develop their three ball growing up. Once you're an adult playing the NBA, it's hard to develop a three at that point, especially when your coaching staff is telling you to take 6 threes a game. Back in Jordan's era, I think it was like 6 or 7 three-point attempts per game. It was definitely under 10 three-point attempts per game for most of Jordan's championship teams. So again, just a totally different era. It's so hard to compare the eras. But what'll frustrate me is when people want to just hate on the 90s. Oh, Jordan had no bag. Jordan can't go left. And they didn't go back to watch these 90s games. You can get on YouTube and watch the full games from the 90s. You can watch every single one of Jordan's finals games in their entirety on YouTube if you really wanted to. So people that don't watch those games want to go back and hate on that era. Then people that love 90s ball but haven't watched basketball in 10 years, there really are people like this. They just want to hate on the NBA. Oh, too many threes being shot, this and that. Just regurgitate whatever talking points they heard, just spit them back out and just hate on the NBA, even though they don't even watch it anymore. So it's really strange. But back to the three-point shots, 38 attempts per game is the NBA average for last season. It's a ton of threes, but I don't think being three-point heavy is necessarily the recipe to winning an NBA championship. The Celtics won that championship in 2024, just the year before the Thunder won last year. They were taking 43 three-point shots per game. They were shooting 39% from three. They were the number one team. They were taking more threes per game than any other team, but they were number three. They're the third team in defensive rating. So people would always say this. When I was growing up, I tell the old head NBA fans, they say, oh, defense wins championships. Defense wins championships. I'd say, whatever, old man. I'm going to watch Kobe shoot this fadeaway. I don't give a fuck about defense. Kobe's fadeaway wins championships. And it did, but those Lakers teams were also elite defensive teams. And as I get older and older, you see it really is true. You don't really win championships without defense. Of the last seven championship teams, six of those teams were top 10 in defensive rating. The one team that wasn't top 10, that was the 2023 Nuggets. They were 16th in defensive rating. They were 26th in three-point attempts. There's only 28 teams in the NBA, so the Nuggets were basically right at the bottom in three-point attempts. They were 16th in defensive rating. This doesn't necessarily say, well, you can win championships without defense if you have the greatest center of all time, and Nikola Jokic, on your team. Probably one of the, not probably, definitely one of the greatest offensive engines in NBA history. So if you have Nikola Jokic, then yeah, you can kind of get away with it. But six of the last seven champion teams, again, they were top 10 in defensive rating. I mean, the Bucks in 2021, they were 10th in defensive rating. Again, that Nuggets team was 16th, but five of those other teams, they were top five in defensive rating. So, again, of those past seven teams, only the Nuggets and the Bucks, just those two teams weren't top five in defensive rating. So unless you have a Giannis Antetokounmpo, a Nikola Jokic, some just generational level player, you're going to have some defense to be able to win the championship. That Celtics team in 2024, yes, they were number one in three-point attempts per game. They led the entire league. But again, like I said, they were third in defensive rating. That Celtics team, their identity on offense was all about everyone can set a screen, everyone can be a pick and roll ball handler, or they can be the screen setter. You can just change everything. Everyone's versatile defensively. We're going to try to move the ball around and get an open three and take as many threes as we can. That was their analytical style of offense. But on the other end of the floor, it was about all their defenders being versatile. They can switch every single pick and roll. They can switch every single matchup and still be okay defensively. So the three-point shot, it's kind of the new craze in the NBA. A lot of people are hating on all the three-point shots being taken. But the Thunder last season, they were 10th in three-point attempts. So you can be outside. You don't have to be some top-level three-point shooting team to win the championship. The Lakers in 2020, they were the 21st team as far as three-point attempts per game. That was the bubble championship, so people are kind of weird about that. But that Lakers team, they were third in defensive rating. So again, five of the past seven teams that won the championship, they were top five in defensive rating. Only that Milwaukee Bucks team, the Denver Nuggets team, and they have two just absolutely generational players in Giannis and Nikola Jokic. Those are the only two teams that managed to win a championship without being top five in defensive rating. The league average, again, it's 38 three-point attempts per game. Teams shoot the three at 36% average, which is it's a lot higher than it used to be back in the day. So players are more skilled at shooting the three. Keep in mind, these aren't a lot of bad shot attempts as well. Like I said earlier, my main complaint would be more watching LaMelo Ball, not him specifically, just a name that popped in my head, Trae Young, whoever else it is. They shoot a decent percentage, but just all the crazy, let me ISO, let me do a million between the legs and step back and shoot a 40-foot three. If you're shooting 38 threes like that, that's not the recipe to win. If you're shooting 38 threes and they're all coming from ball movement, you're getting just wide open or pretty open, just great three-point attempts, and you're taking 38 shots from three, then, what can I say? I'm watching the game. I'm seeing that three ball is the best shot you can take. It's open. That's the shot to take. You're just playing good basketball. It's more just off those ISOs and the crazy step backs and just threes that are coming from basically bad offense or just being self-generated, and they aren't good looks. I feel like that's more what frustrates me. If your threes are being generated from good team offense and they're good looks, I don't really so much have a problem with that. But again, like I was saying, it's not about being three-point heavy to win the NBA championship. It's still about being one of the top 10. Again, five of the last seven champions were top five in defensive rating. So you basically have to be top five or have Giannis or Nikola Jokic on your team in order to win a championship. So yes, threes are at 38 attempts per game. That's the league average right now. And by next year, the year after, we may see it get up to 40 attempts per game. I'm not really sure. The way it's going right now, if you look at the graph, it looks like it's for sure going to get there. but we made it through the dead ball era. Dead ball era was 1995 to 2005. If you don't remember, scoring was so low. Scoring was below 95 points per game in a lot of the years, and we made it through the dead ball era. Back then, people were thinking, if you remember, oh, the NBA sucks now. Ratings were down, just like they're down right now. And people were thinking, oh man, the defense is too crazy. Scoring keeps going down. Before we know it, we're going to be having 75 to 76 games. The NBA is just going to be boring as hell with all of this defense. Made it through the dead ball era. Ratings were down, came back up. The NBA's exciting again. I love basketball. I never thought the NBA was not exciting from 1990 till now. I just love to watch basketball. But we made it through the dead ball era. Again, scoring was going down, 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 just like threes are going up, up, up. And if you look at the chart, like I said, you think we're just going to get to 75 points per game, and it's just going to be boring as hell and just keep going down and down on the scoring. But things eventually evened out. Scoring came back up. So I feel like things will eventually even out with the three ball, and it'll come down, or at least find an even level, where it's just more of a balanced game. I can see people with complaints with all the threes being shot again. I probably agree with you on most of those points, but the NBA is still exciting to watch. I just ask people to actually watch the games. If you don't actually watch the games and you're just regurgitating other people's points, oh, I hate all the threes being shot, foul baiting and flopping, and all these players are so soft. I just ask you to watch the NBA games because the game is still exciting to watch, and the three-point shot, it's going to even itself out sooner or later, and the NBA is going to be just fine. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 50 subscribers, and we'll see y'all next time.